like those chords. Is that wrong? Is it wrong to like chords? I certainly hope not. Lawton Childs. Get that right. dig it? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what's going down on you? This is a Martin SC13E. It's a brand new device made with all kinds of modern ergonomics. Even got a fancy dancy tuner inside there. Look at that. Oh, look at it. Oh, I'm a little sharp ski. You know, it's funny. You put the air conditioner on the house and all your guitars go sharp. Am I right? Got to be a little humid here yesterday behind the cheddar curts. So we had to put the air conditioning on, and all these guitars went about a cent-ish north of tunage. Isn't that weird? Nature, science, it's so wicked. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Oh, come on now. Don't be such a persnickety persnimmon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I see some comments coming in, doggone it. You want some more Bach? Ah, Bach. Sporting the gray lid today. I am indeed. I thought, what is the hat for the day? And I said, gotta go gray. Wow, I am sharp. Crazy. Oh, that doesn't happen every day. How many hours a day do you play? Asked Eric Porter. That's an excellent question. The answer to your question is whenever I can, I play. So when I wake up in the morning, I try to get some time in. But then, duty calls, and I got to take care of professional business, some emails, skullduggery, calls, and then stuff around the house. And that kind of stuff. But other than that, I'd play all the time. I probably wouldn't even bathe or eat. No, it's not true. I do make time for personal needs. But I do like to play me some guitar. Who's with me out there? I love to play it. I love to pound it. This new guitar by Martin, the SC13E, is actually made in Mexico. I have a special love for Mexico because their food is delicious. Every day, people down there, they just eat something called food. But here we call it Mexican food, and it is so delicious. Am I right or am I right? I did a tour of Mexico years ago, and by God, it was fun. Had a good old time. I did have an experience, though, with my, my digestive tract. Don't want to get into it, but I don't want to give you any visuals you didn't need. But let's just say I had a ready supply of Pepto-Bismol on parade. Song called Pepto-Bismol on parade. Play every day. It's good for you. Heard from Dylan. Made it back from Minnesota. No, he's still up there, but he's in River Falls, Wisconsin, which is across the river. So he's not near to where the craziness is going down up there. It's a tragedy. What are you going to do? People, don't be awful to each other. Just kind of a shout out to everybody out there. Just kind of check yourself. Okay? Thanks. All right. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that. Montezuma's Revenge. You are correct, Michael. You are correct. What else we got out there for questions? Is there a style you can or not like to play? Paul, I've never really dabbled that much into like traditional classical guitar, and I can't really do any flamenco. I would like to. Maybe there's time remaining, as far as I know, in my existence that I can delve into these things. But I never really studied legit classical guitar. I can kind of fake some stuff with my hybrid picking and that kind of stuff. But as far as like the full-on acoustic thing, or nylon string activity. Acoustic Black Dog. Well, that sounds dirty. Hey, mama, is that the way you move? Gonna make you sweat and gonna make you groove. I tried the way you shake that thing. Want to honey dip, I can't keep away. I don't know, but I've been told to be the damn woman but got no soul. for all I pray. Steady rolling, gonna come my way. Eyes that lash, I'm burning red. I dreamed up you all through my head. There you go. Acoustic version of Black Dog. Now don't keep inundating me with requests, okay? Doggone it. Woo. Love to hear some of your own songs. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. St. Charles Shuffle, if you're... yes, play the clap. All right, maybe we'll do a combination of the clap and St. Charles Shuffle. Come on. There you go. Combination of St. Charles Shuffle, my own song, with a little bit of the clap from our friend Steve Howe. There we go. There we go. Now I did it right. Son of a bitch. You know, it's hard. Playing guitar is not easy. The dirt spider weeps in the valley of shame. Hello. Yes, Brian, it is. SC13E. Can you dig it? That was a little bit of I can't play. I've never figured out classical gas. For some reason, I've just never said to myself, I'm going to sit down and learn classical gas. Never done it. Just rewatched the KMT playing Drowning on Dry Land with Josh Smith early this year in Southern California. Wish I could have been in the show. Completely knocked me out. You guys are all terrific. Well, thank you very much. That's a fun tune to play. Hey, the Hook and Ladder Music Lounge was damaged in the riots the past few days. Yeah, I saw that. Hopefully we can fix it up. It's so sad. Well, thank you, Mr. Porter. That's a pain in the ass. Like that, ladies and gentlemen. Where is Dylan? Dylan went out of town for this week. He went up to Minnesota, to the Twin Cities. Not the best time to go, but he did what he did. So he's up there, but he's safe and sound. He's in actually River Falls, Wisconsin. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Can you just play a tune while giving bad news? I would feel like that would help smooth things over. No, I'm going to avoid the news, Paul. How's that? Someone asked if I ever played with Tommy Emmanuel one time, years ago, at a music messa in Frankfurt. We sat down and played it for, I think Have you ever heard of Terry Robb? No, I have not. But then again, I'm kind of out of touch. I'm out of touch. All right, this guitar that I've been playing has a Fishman system on it. It's actually the Sonotone pickup. MXT is the preamp. Comes in stock on this Martin SE13E, which has all kinds of cool ergonomic things, and it's very reasonably priced. Are those Z's in your hat or dollar signs? I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. I don't know what you're referring to. You mean the stylish black stripes? I don't think they have any real significo other than they're just meant to say pizzazz, okay? Pizzazz. As opposed to looking at my glorious skullet. Look at my skullet, behold the skullet. Although I'm getting a nice little tan from my walks. It's one thing the Koch jeans have is we tan nicely. This has a Fishman Matrix Infinity pickup volume tone preamp. Yes, there are pickups for mandolin. you very much. A little thing called Dad Gattery from my acoustic gristle soup record, but I mixed in a little nod to Slim Jim Page in there. He had some jams, didn't he? Old Jim Page. Whoa, Jim Pagey, bam ba dam, whoa, Jim Pagey, bam ba dam ba diddle dibba dooba dib, bam ba dim. Ed Axman says, this guitar sounds better than the last one. I think so, but this is a lot more expensive, and the system, the Fishman system is an upgrade as well. The other one's more of a kind of a cost-effective little weapon, but very nice little guitar. This is a reimagined 0028 from Martin with the Matrix Infinity pickup on board, and I'm going into a Loudbox Performer amplifier. We got a little mic in front of it to, that's what you're hearing. No, it's all good. Rob, it's all good. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Yeah. Some other questions out there. Someone asked about keeping tempo. Working with a band is excellent, or just if you can't work with a band, if you can't work with jam tracks, then it's always good to kind of check with your friendly neighborhood metronome. It's good just dial in with a metronome, and then once you get kind of a feel of this, I just tap my foot all the time. I tap my left foot. I kind of do a heel-toe thing on hardwood floors, and that's mostly how I do it. And then every now and again, I'll check with a metronome to make sure I'm not completely deluge. And usually, after I was like, oh yeah, and you realize after you work with the metronome parts that you have a tendency to rush or whatever the case may be, and then you just kind of work on those. But when you don't play with the metronome, the human thing, you speed up and you slow down. That's what we do. So as long as it's not absolutely horrible, it's usually a fun part about humans playing music is the fluctuation of time. So. It is time once again. I don't know what I was just singing, but I kind of dug it. All right, so questions out there. I'm sorry the questions go by and I'm playing and I'm trying to remember them, but then I get preoccupied with the jams. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to switch over to electric here in a minute. Happy Friday to you, Ron. Again, that last thing I did was I'm in dadgad tuning. Paul asks, am I still off sugar cereal? Yes, for the most part. Although I have splurged, had a little Raisin Bran today, but it's definitely not the corn syrup bonanza that Captain Crunch is. Hello from Clyde, California. Greetings, Clyde, California. Do I have any slide key in my arsenal? I do not, as a matter of fact. Can blues be happy? I think it is. I think it is a soul enriching music. It doesn't always have to be about. B.B. King used to say it's the music of joy. Is that you're hearing your problems and you're dancing all over them. Can you dig it? Is there a plug and play Fishman Fluence set available for a Strandberg? Salient. I'm not sure, Martin. Maybe Ryan could pipe in on that question. Because I believe there are some Strandberg guitars that come stock with Fluence, if I'm not mistaken. Can you dig it? Have you ever been to the Chet Atkins convention in Nashville? I've never been, which is kind of a sin, but I just never have. Sweet Little Angel is a happy song. But angelic activity, as a matter of fact. I've got Fishman Fluence classic humbuckers on this 335. It was a custom install because underneath the pickguard there's a little mini USB input, and the lithium-ion battery is either right there or it's underneath here somewhere. But they did a custom install, and it just is fantastic. Sounds so good. What are some of your favorite instrumental guitarists? I think Johnny A does a hell of a job. He really knows how to make music as a instrumental guitar player. Not just not that there's anything wrong with just blazing folk. That's cool too. But I really enjoy what he does. Boy, there's a ton of guys. I guess the guys that I have a tendency to listen to most, just on my machine known as the shuffle. I enjoy when Derek Trucks does instrumentals. Not that I don't enjoy the way Susan Tedeschi sings; she's fantastic. Or the guy in the Tedeschi or Derek Trucks' band. But I love it when he plays instrumentals. I like listening to Grant Green. I like Kenny Burrell. Right? Can you dig it? Have you found out whether Dylan went to Minnesota to protest or truly to visit a friend? He went to visit a friend, but maybe he is protesting. I don't know what's going on. Can you dig it? The last several weeks have been quite an education on all things guitar. Thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in. What jazz style is that? Well, it's kind of my own little weird variation of, Grant Green was more of a soulful blues guy, jazz guy. He could bebop, but he just kept it pretty simple a lot of the time, and I dug that. Kenny Burrell, Wes Montgomery, that's the people I like to listen to. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Have you ever performed any Western-style jams on tour? We used to do a version years ago. Well, we did a tune called Surf Zepp, which we've done on these feeds at some point, where it's kind of a mixture of Dick Dale and Jimmy Page. But I also used to do a version. I would do a version of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme and mix it with Jesus Christ Superstar. I can't remember it. We'll have to resurrect it at some point. It was quite humorous. Tom says, got fluences in 3 of my guitars. Thanks, Greg. Well, thank you. They're delicious, are they not? Could you mind meld what you just played into my cranium and fingers, if your internet connection can handle it? You crazy kid. Yeah. How do you warm up before shows? Usually with coffee. What are your favorite B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, Chuck Berry licks if you're on a Gibson? Oh, man, Paul, that's a tall order. There's a little bit of a strange amalgam of B.B. King, Albert King, a little bit of Freddie King, a little bit of Chuck Berry, and a little bit of my own nonsense all mixed together. We had a request for that on this delicious instrument. And of course, I like also doing a little bit of cream-oriented stuff on this guitar, adding a little bit of heat. Adding a little bit of heat. Just like that. Oh, yes. You know what I had to do is there's a couple different gauge stages on this amp. I'm going through my signature Koch amp, which I think you can see back here, right? And on the lead channel, there's an overdrive and there's an overdrive boost. But in both channels, there's a thing on the top. There's a panel on the top, and it's got some extra stuff on it. And there's a thing called OTS. And it's called output tube saturation. And when I add that to the overdrive instead of the gain boost, it gets a little bit more fat. Sounds more like that cream tone, you know what I mean? Or that. Sounds good. Big and juicy. Lord. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Ooh, can't find my CD for Hal Leonard Country Book. Can you go through any of the all the examples quickly? Onion, I'm going to get right on that. Although I'm sure if you contacted Hal Leonard, they would probably give you the code for the download. So now I think all of it's online. You could probably find it online. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Are there things about other instruments that you other instruments can that the guitar can't that you envy? I do like the sound of a B3. That is just fantastic. But you know what? I'm a guitar player first and foremost. I like guitar playing. All right, folks, it's that time of the broadcast where I open it up for more questions. About 5 minutes left. Greg, do you play piano? You know, Henry, at times I work myself up to being able to play a couple things on the piano. I certainly can figure things out, but I haven't played in a while. I'd have to sit down and get my chops to some semblance of a thing where I could actually play some songs. I have played keyboard parts on records, organ parts. I've played drum parts on records. Certainly played bass. But I wouldn't consider myself a multi-instrumentalist by any stretch of the imagination. Because I just spent too much damn time on the guitar. Questions, don't be afraid. I'm going to grab one of my signature guitars with my signature Fishman pickups in it for the last part of our little meet and greet today. Greg, do you still have the red P90 Lester Paulfus? No, I do not. I got that guitar at the same time I got that 53 Telecaster, and I paid off the 53 Telecaster toot sweet. I'm plugged into the wrong one. But I waited a little while on the Les Paul, and I realized after about 6 months I really hadn't played it, and I thought, that's a lot of money to spend for a guitar you're not going to play. Just because, it's not like a Tele where you can keep it out and like lean it up against stuff and say, I just want to play it and keep it out. Les Paul, you're like, I always got to put it away or else I'm going to snap the neck and yada, yada, yada. That's a bummer about having an old, expensive guitar like that. So as a result, I didn't end up buying it. Hi, Greg. Thoroughly enjoyed the David Grissom Part 5 conversation. You mentioned 100 guitar leads, say over a Fender lead. How much difference would I notice? What leads do I use? Pretty certain you've not answered this question. Actually, you know what? I haven't answered this question. So you're talking about guitar chords. David Grissom and I were talking about guitar chords. And we were talking about, people obsessing over gear instead of practicing. And not that we were judging, because the quest for gear is fun. And is there a difference between various different gear? Yes. I don't let it bug me. I like stuff, and I'm like, this stuff sounds good to me. I don't obsess about. I've got friends who are like, I have to get this certain type of tube, and I can only get it from this guy, and I don't worry about any of that, to be honest with you. But as far as guitar chords, if you took like an Asterope cable or the old Monster cables against a regular conventional, just run-of-the-mill guitar chord, you would hear a difference. I've used the lava cables that I got from Mark Stoddard for years, and they sound great, and they last. They've lasted a long time. So I dig that. I like cables that sound good but last a long time. What other questions are there? You ever play any Django tunes? Yeah, I've played a few. Did you ever get to see where Prince lived? No, I never did. Have you ever played with Scott Gerard before? I know he's originally from the Milwaukee area. Yes, he used to come out. He came out with his dad and his mom. I think his dad came out and he sat in on my rig. I used to do a Tuesday night thing at this club, and when he was real young, he sounded great. And he played around town here, and then he went out to New York. And I haven't actually seen him. We kind of occasionally will say hi, how are you online, and laugh about Milwaukee things. And that kind of stuff. But he's doing great. Thanks for the show, man. We're honored. Quick question. Are you familiar with little guy, the Fender Champ 600? I know it's a tiny dude, but I'd like to get my hands on a tube cube, but they're so damn expensive here in Brazil. Thanks. I haven't played it. Maybe I've played a little Champ 600. I like those little amps. Every time I'm someplace and they're like, hey, go in the room and practice for a little bit, and I plug into one of these little, solid state jobbers, I'm always like, man, this thing sounds good. Anyway, so yeah, I can't specifically remember that amp, but I'm sure it's cool. What pick do I use? I use these little Jim Dunlap Primetone 3 1.4 millimeters. Can you dig it? What's my favorite coffee? I like to get coffee from a place down the street called Valentine Coffee Roasters, and I like their Ethiopian blend. It's delicious. Greg, is there a PRS guitar in your future? Well, one never knows. Do you ever play with Chris Hansen? Chris Hansen and I are very old friends, and we have played together multiple times over the years. A gajillion times. Greg, will you ever divulge will you ever divulge your fave cheese being from behind the cheddar curtain? Oh, Henry, that is bold talk. My current favorite that I've been getting lately is Hook's a black truffle cheddar. It's a delicious concoction. Were you and Dylan Jimmy Cobb fans? Yes, of course. Greg, both of your interviews with David Grissom and Josh Smith were damn good. Waiting for the rest of the Josh interview. I'm sure it's coming. I just did a really excellent interview with his answers to the question. His stories are fantastic with Rick Vito. So that'll be coming next. And I got to set up next week's victim. We got to call some people and see what we can do. So we usually we do those on Wednesday, and we don't do them live. And then Paul Brown puts them together. Paul Brown. When you write a record, how do you remember your ideas? Paper, tapes, hammer, chisel. You know what? For the last 10 years or so, I just do them on GarageBand. But more recently, I just do them on the recorder on my iPhone. That's how I remember them. And then if I get a chance to do more of a demo, I'll do it in GarageBand. Whenever stuck composing, you just start tuning pegs and find the note. You know what? I can kind of come up with stuff. I don't know. It's weird. I never really have a problem being inspired in that way, which is good. Can you interview Jim Campolongo? Love you both. That's a possibility. I haven't talked to Jim in years, but I could probably line that up. We shall see. Wow, that was a very interesting thing that I just saw. Dog paw. Enjoyed your convo on Gear Obsession. It finally settled on a vintage twin, one OD, and now just work on Get Her Better and playing. Yeah, like we were saying, it's an interesting thing with gear. It can definitely be inspiring, but it also shouldn't get in the way of the actual playing. You know what I mean? So, whatever. Jim Campolongo is a legend. Yes, he is. He is a legend. Jim is a trip and a fantastic player. Yes, to both of those things. I would love to hear you interview Clapton, considering you play his licks and have so much respect for him. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I would love to interview Eric. I would definitely love to interview him. I think that would be fun. But he doesn't do many interviews like that. So, I don't know. But he's a good dude. He's a good dude. Woo! Ooh, I like it. Greg, would you go for a Dynasonic or Filtertron in a Gretsch fiddle? I kind of like the I like them both, actually, but probably Filtertrons, I think. Probably of the Filtertron persuasion. Well, folks, I think we're about there. Any Bloomfield influence or enjoyment? Absolutely. I'm a big Bloomfield fan. It's interesting. When talking with Robin Ford, he always cites the early Butterfield stuff. I actually enjoy, well, I like all of it, but I really like the Super Session stuff. The live adventures of Al Cooper and Mike Bloomfield. I love that stuff. I love that record. If you love these blues, play them as you please or whatever it is. His acoustic playing, phenomenal. But the sound of him with that Les Paul through a twin or a super reverb, whatever it was, just delicious. Just de-damn-licious. Fave Danny Gatton tune. Boy, there's a lot. So many. You're welcome for the wonderful Gristle hospitality. Was there a particular guitar player you saw live that just blew your mind? Well, a lot of guys back in the day. I remember the first time I saw Clapton. I discovered Albert Lee through Clapton, and that's kind of led me in that whole kind of country realm. Was Albert Lee, and I saw Clapton with Albert Lee in 1983, and it was very powerful. Also, when I saw Mick Taylor with John Mayall's Blues Breakers when they did that reunion tour in 1982, I was very young and impressionable, and that blew my mind. First time I saw the Allman Brothers, it blew my mind. When I saw Muddy Waters, that blew my mind. I saw B.B. King several times. When I saw the Steve Morse Band, that blew my mind because I was right up in front, and I was just watching this technical display just going, yeah, here we go. That was on his first solo tour after the introduction record, and he was still playing that Telecaster with all the knobs on it. And boy, that was kapow. First time I saw Mike Stern, he was playing with Michael Brecker. That blew my brain live when I saw him live. Crazy. Can you dig it? Park the Strat Bridge or let it float? I like to let him float, Jay. I like to let him float. Can you dig it? All right, folks, thank you so much. Have a pleasant weekend, and we'll be back here doing our Fishman live feed on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel, as they say somewhere. Hopefully Dylan will be back from Minnesota, having returned safe and sound, although he's going to have to go in quarantine. We're like, dude, you're not going to go up and hang out with a bunch of your freak friends and come back here and infect us all with pestilence. So we're going to sterilize him with a lighter before he can come in the house. And maybe stay in a tent, serve him biscuits until 2 weeks go by, and then you test him, make sure he's not infected. Kids, what are you going to do? All right, folks, take it easy, but as they say, take it. Adios. I'm going back over here to OBS, and I'm going to unleash the beast.